Greetings, fellow mortals. I find myself feeling more confused by She-Hulk Attorney at Law more than anything else. I'm not insulted by the show. I'm not outraged either. At this point, I've grown numb to the mediocrity that the Marvel shows have become. If I can even call them mediocre at this point, they actually tend to be pretty bad by the end of their runs. Not that the concepts are boring or uninteresting. Loki and Moon Knight have interesting premises. Miss Marvel still has the potential to be a legendary character one day. All the other show ideas were fine, except Hawkeye. I still stand by my declaration that it is the most boring and forgettable show that I've ever seen. With my feelings of apathy about She-Hulk, I threw away any idea of making a review about the show. After all, who wants to listen to a person talk about something they don't even care about? And I won't fake emotion for a video. If I like, dislike, or don't care about something, I'll make sure that you know it. Whether or not She-Hulk is a success or not doesn't matter to me. Whether or not She-Hulk is good or not doesn't matter that much to me. I mean, other than the fact that I think that Marvel has failed the Hulk when it comes to his story, but I'll make a video about Bruce Banner later. So if I don't want to watch the show or make a review about it, what is this video even about? The truth is that it's more about this trend that I don't understand about media and entertainment nowadays. Do they even know who their core audience is? Do they know who the show, movie, or video game is even for? Because it doesn't feel like they do. It feels like companies are trying to force everyone to like one product. But by doing that, they're creating content that no one likes. What exactly do I mean by this? Think about the classification of different genres: romance, drama, action, thriller, horror, family friendly, young adult, adult oriented, and many more types of stories. This isn't a judgment about these different stories, that's just how things are. A magical fantasy story like Lord of the Rings is different than a horror story like Saw. A romance like Sleeping with Other People is different from a comedy like Dodgeball. An anime like SpyXFamily is different than a tragedy drama like Breaking Bad / Better Call Saul, even if people get amused by the ideas of crossovers between these things. These classifications are important because they tell the audience what to expect going in. Adults without kids probably won't want to see Paw Patrol. Kids should probably not watch House of the Dragon. It's important that people can make informed decisions about their entertainment. And when a piece of entertainment is made without a core audience in mind, it tends to not draw the attention that it needs. Trying to appeal to everyone appeals to no one in the end. Yet I see people failing to understand this basic concept. It reminds me of the controversy a few weeks ago when the difference between HBO Max and Discovery Plus was being discussed. These streaming services skewed in different directions based off of their different audiences. HBO Max has more male viewers. Discovery Plus has more female viewers. There's nothing wrong with this. It's just the way it is. And of course, hashtag not all. It's just data, pure numbers, nothing to get mad about. But people did get mad, which is weird. It feels like there's a loud minority of people who don't get that not everything is for them. Some things are for other groups of people, and that's fine. Every piece of entertainment has to focus on their core audience, at least a little bit. But that makes me wonder who She-Hulk's main audience even is. Now, I haven't seen every episode. Obviously, the show just started, and I watched some clips more out of morbid curiosity and confusion more than anything else. But this is the way that I see it. There are three groups of people who could possibly care about this show. The first one is comic book fans. That could stretch in a wide range of ways. Whether they're comic book readers, fans of the characters, or simply they just like superhero movies. It doesn't matter. That's one corner of the triangle. The next one comes from the fact that this show is on Disney Plus. When you think of Disney, you think of family friendly. So it's probably the most family and child oriented streaming platform. So the second corner of the triangle is kids. But then there's the third corner. That's the fans of Sex in the City corner, meaning mostly women. Hashtag not all, but of course the vast majority. Based off of everything that I've seen and heard, She-Hulk is basically superhero Sex in the City, which is a paradox, because I think that the superhero aspect of She-Hulk is a giant turnoff for the Sex in the City fans. People wanting that kind of rom-com drama with sex jokes probably don't want to see bad CGI characters punching each other. At the same time, superhero fans probably don't want the Sex in the City aspects in their comic book show. This isn't a judgment of rom-com fans. It's just that people have different tastes. And then, of course, there's the kids' corner. Making jokes about Captain America's sex life, mansplaining, and Tinder probably won't click well with the kids. They don't care about that. So this triangle of the core audience doesn't click well in any way. It's the biggest reach that Marvel has ever tried to do, and it doesn't look to be going well. I think it's safe to say that hardcore comic book fans aren't happy. The amount of videos out there complaining is staggering. It's a little dramatic. Yes, She-Hulk CG is bad. Yes, She-Hulk is automatically better than Hulk in every way. Yes, She-Hulk constantly belittles the superheroes of the past. It's a Marvel show on Disney+. That's baked into the cake at this point. I won't go into my normal level of disappointment that they can't write female characters well. The sexism on all sides is overwhelming at this point. One side gets way too mad, the other side accepts that they're going to get a pile of trash and don't want anything better. I don't see She-Hulk getting a lot of attention from the family and kid side of the triangle either. Dating and lawyers aren't exactly big draws for the audience that hasn't even hit puberty yet. So that leaves the Sex in the City audience to watch a show about a character who is the definition of the author's poorly disguised fetish. Look, I'm not saying that She-Hulk is a terrible character or never had any good stories. But if you try to argue with me about the fact that she was over-sexualized and in fact drawn in a way to make readers look at specific parts of her, then I will laugh at you. It reminds me of whenever I see a weirdo on the internet complaining to make muscular and tall women more accepted. She-Hulk started the trend that eventually led to Lady D in Resident Evil Village. If you don't think that they're accepted and fetishized, then I don't know what version of the internet that you're looking on. Because a simple glance at the discourse tells me people really need to get laid. It's kind of pathetic at times. So what could they have done with She-Hulk? That's a difficult one. They weren't ever going to adapt She-Hulk's original version. I think a small story about her would be somewhat interesting. The lawyer aspect of She-Hulk is the most interesting thing about her. Focusing on her trying to keep a cool head in the courtroom would be a lot more interesting than anything else. The hard part is that any version of the Hulk that has complete control over their powers is boring. That's the most interesting thing about the Hulk, is that he can't completely control his powers. His abilities are the ultimate double-edged sword. He barely stays classified as the good guy because of all the destruction that he causes. In order to make She-Hulk interesting, you have to make her closer to how Bruce was at the start of the MCU. Maybe not to an insane degree. You can show how it would make being a lawyer extremely difficult, especially with how anal judges can be about any sort of disruptions. Her transformation can ruin her cases for her. You can show her difficulty with dating without focusing on Tinder, because Tinder has, does, and always will suck. And the writers really need to stop mocking previous characters. It doesn't endear viewers to the new characters when you mock the old ones. Instead, they need to focus on building Jennifer Walters as a unique person with an interesting personality. Before gaining her powers, she could have been a cool-headed lawyer without any interest in superheroes. When she gains her abilities, she is forced into action when she would prefer to focus on her professional and personal life. Emphasize her lawyer skills and her personal hobbies. Show that she doesn't want her powers or have a temperament for fighting. Just do something different. Maybe the plot could focus on a madman having stolen Bruce's blood in order to spread it around and give everyone gamma powers. She-Hulk would have to fight physically, but the writers could also show her fighting in court in order to stop the madman using the justice system. I don't completely know what to do. I'm just spitballing ideas here. The truth is that the MCU has made it hard to come up with unique ideas for She-Hulk after they flanderized the regular Hulk. There's nowhere for Bruce Banner to go other than to die, so there's not really a whole lot of places for She-Hulk to go. But it's not like they're going to kill anyone else off. Thor Love and Thunder showed me that Marvel isn't ready to give up the legacy characters that they have left. The new characters aren't cutting it because the writing for them and their personalities are passable at best. Without characters like Hulk, Thor, and Doctor Strange, Marvel doesn't have much. But that's why they need to start fixing these problems now instead of making a show which doesn't even know who its core audience is. Every story needs to know what it is and who it's for. Comic book stories aren't for everyone, and that's fine. Marvel is trying to stretch them into something that they're not, and it's only going to end in disaster. All I want is for the stories to be good. It doesn't matter the genre, and we're not getting that right now. And I just want that to change. I want stories to be better. I want them to know who they're for. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my takes on storytelling, please consider subscribing and liking the video. It would really help me out. Also, remember that I'll be self-publishing my novel, Dance of Frozen Death, at the start of 2023. I hope that you will check it out. I appreciate you. Do not despair.